Okay, so over to you, Ms. Deborah Ojo.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Deborah Ojo. I'm a real estate agent. I also happen to be one of the directors of CNP. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. Thank you for sharing your time with us. I'm just going to introduce CNP briefly to some of us that maybe doesn't know what we stand for. Council of Nigerian Professionals is a non-for-profit association established by a group of visionary Nigerian professionals to enable Nigerians to realize their full potential in Canada. Our vision is to enable and support ourselves towards sustainable growth, development, and prosperity. And that is one of the reasons why we are here tonight. Now, if you want more information about CNP, please go to cnpngo.ca. Our email address, if you wanted to reach out to us, is info@cnpngo.ca. Again, it's info@cnpngo.ca. We know COVID has turned a lot of world upside down. Everything has been impacted. We live and interact with each other and in different ways now. We're communicating virtually more often than before. Everything in our lives has been affected. CNP, in collaboration with Red Cross, produced an album that is available on our YouTube channel, which I'm going to link the information below. I'll link it below. We produce an album. Many of the singles will remind you of home. I listen to it when I'm going to bed. It reminds me of home, and we hope that you will find strength and comfort to weather the storm of what's COVID and what is going on through the world right now. It is also imperative to CNP that our community have access to the best information, and that's one of the reasons why we came up with this speaker series. Through our speaker series, CNP has continued to work together in partnership with our sponsors to ensure the best quality information are available to support decision making during this crisis. Today, we want to focus on our business owners. Aspiring owners. As many of you may be aware, there were a lot of incentives. There was CBA loan for businesses, but we see that many of our community members were not able to access this. Why? Because they don't have the right structure. Our speaker today is Madam Olufunke Omobolaji Eyitayo. Funke is a graduate of University of Lagos, a fellow Institute of Chartered Accountants, ICANN, a member of the Chartered Institution of Taxation Nigeria, CITN, a qualified payroll compliance practitioner. In Canada, and has an MBA in finance from the University of Liverpool. Funke currently consults for a number of organizations in various capacities as an experienced and results-oriented business and support person with extensive knowledge of finance, accounting, taxation, audits, payroll and human resources, procurement and administrative logistic functions. And she's happily married with kids. She will be going through some of the structures that we need as businesses. Now, before she hops in, we also need a lot of volunteers in CNP. So if you want to volunteer or if you want to learn about us, I would also please email us, and I'll also put those information in the chat box. Sister Funke, please take over the floor. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Madam Deborah, Miss Deborah. Which one?
Anyone.
Okay. Miss Deborah, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Lady Abba, for this opportunity to share with everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'll try and be as brief as possible so that we'll have enough time for questions, and yeah, I can take it from there. Now, I'll just bring up the slide. Mhm. No. Okay, so I think I'll need help with bringing up the slide. I have no clue. Can someone walk me through? Because I'm trying to share the screen and it's just showing me the screen of the presentation itself, as in this CNP screen.
Okay. So, are you able to say present now or share your screen, or what are you doing?
I can see present now. I've picked it, but it's not showing me the screen I want to show.
Okay. Somebody else is sharing. Okay. You need to open what first and foremost.
It's open
now, and you click on share screen, the entire screen.
Okay. Oh, okay. Choose what you want to share. It's not there. So I'll just show you what is.
Okay, great.
Okay, so what can you see? Can you see my presentation or no?
I can't see your presentation. Now I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks for the help. Okay, so good evening once again. I'm bringing this presentation on behalf of, in collaboration with Council of Nigerian Professionals, as well as the Red Cross of Canada. The first instance, I'm going to explain to us what business structures generally refer to. So business structures, there are three main models your business could be structured. I mean, three main ways your business could be structured. You could come up as a sole proprietorship. You could come up as a partnership. You could come up as a limited liability. A sole proprietorship is that you just have a business name. You're seen and identified by the governing bodies or the incorporators as like a standalone person. There are legal advantages and there are legal disadvantages to being a sole proprietorship. A lot of the time, I think the main disadvantage of being a sole proprietorship is if there are any liabilities, they can come, your clients or your contractors or your consultants can come to you directly for whatever damages may have occurred during your business activities. A partnership is an extension of sole proprietorship. It involves two or more individuals coming together. They are also not. They also, when liability comes, they're also not shielded from those liabilities because there's no the way they are incorporated, there's no shield for them. So directly, if anything happens, liability comes to the partners, as it were. The limited liability company is the most protected when you come to registration. If you register as a limited liability, the company is the one that any liabilities fall under. It doesn't come, the owners are shielded, so to speak, unless there is a serious legal issue before the governing council or bodies now remove the veil of cooperation and then move liability to the incorporators. So in line with liability, the first most vulnerable is the sole proprietorship. The next is the partnership before the limited liability. So I'll move to the next slide. If you have any questions, please put them down with respect to each slide as it goes, because I guess we're limited for time, and I don't want to take too much time explaining how you register or what you register as or what you can do to register. If you have those questions, if I'm able to take them now, we will. If not, probably after the session, we can have another, maybe, I don't know how CNP will organize that. So registration and setup will be the next issue. To register your business, you need to confirm, first of all, the type of structure you want to use. That's like with reference to the first slide we've gone over. Then the next issue is to verify if your business is for profit or not for profit. So for profit means you're in it to make money for yourself, and then not for profit is you're doing it as for humanitarian grounds or to benefit other people, not necessarily making anything for yourself. So what type of business do you want to set up? Is it a for profit or is it not for profit? This determines how you register. You can't register a not for profit and make profit of it. You can't register a for profit and call it a not for profit. The next item to consider is you need to verify which level of government. Do you want to register as a federal corporation, or do you want to register as a provincial corporation? A number of business structures have to be registered as provincial. A number can be registered federally. So if you're a professional corporation, that is lawyers, doctors, accountants, you have to work provincially. But otherwise, I don't think outside of those professional bodies, you can either register federally or provincially. For federal, the advantage is in any province, you can do your business. For provincial, you are restricted to the province you've registered. And then the next step after that is you process your incorporation. As I said, there are three basic structures: the sole proprietorship, the partnership, and then the limited liability. Sole proprietorship, partnership, you can do that online. If the province you're under is Ontario, you just go to ontario.ca and then register. It's very straightforward. But if you have to register a limited liability company or an incorporation, a proper incorporation, you can't do it online directly like that. You either go through a third party or you go to the government office to do the incorporation yourself, or you go through a lawyer or an accountant to do your registration for you. All these methods actually do cost some money, so it's not just walk in and say, oh, you want to do it. It's something you need to consider as well, the monetary aspect of it. Okay, so we go to the next slide. So after you've done your incorporation, the next thing will be to come up with a business plan. If you're setting up a business, you want to go into business, I believe the first thing you need to do is to plan that business. What do you want to do? Where do you want to do the business? How do you want to do it? What's your vision for the business? Is it going to be run by you alone, or is it going to be run by employees eventually? Do you want to have shareholders involved, or do you just want it to be you and maybe a few friends or family or whatever structure you want? Then how do you want to do your business? Do you want it online? Do you want it offline? Do you want it, whatever the methodology you intend to incorporate, the business plan will be your first step towards working that line. So a business plan is a write-up that defines what the business is about, what you want to do. It highlights your vision, your mission. It highlights the business activities you want to do. It highlights the strengths that you see with respect to what you're proposing. What strengths you have, what strengths your area of specialization is, what strength that proposal comes up with, the weaknesses as well, what opportunities you have or the business has, or you see that the business will give to the environment, or the opportunities the structure you are bringing in will give to those around you, or the companies around you, or the country in general, as well as the threats that the business that you foresee the business having, those things that you feel would affect the profitability or viability or the ability for the business to succeed. There's also what we call the cash flow, how you intend to raise money, what you intend to use the money for, and then how the business is supposed to support or run itself thereafter. Then also the requirements or resources that you will need to ensure that the business is a success, your marketing plan, what you intend to do thereafter. So that's basically the business plan in summary. Again, please write down your questions so that I can answer thereafter. Then I won't say the main part, but another very important part of your business structure is how you intend to go about your financial reporting and tax planning. So tax planning, first of all, the structure you come up with needs to be to feed off your tax planning. If you want to go as a sole proprietor, the way you file your taxes, the way you document your taxes is different from if you go as an incorporation. There are ways to save funds on both, but usually, even as you're saving, you're also expending. You want to say you want to save as much money, or you want to optimize your tax savings. For instance, some will say, oh, how should I go about it? Should I go as a sole proprietorship, or should I go as an incorporation? It depends on, and the answer will always obviously be, it depends on what you intend to achieve. Sometimes you say, I will be a sole proprietorship, I don't want to pay what do you call it now, the pension plan, you don't want to do EI, you don't want to pay taxes and all that. And then when things like COVID comes up, it comes back to bite you in the face that why didn't I do this? Because with COVID now, people are coming up with grants that the government comes up with, and you see that you're not eligible because of the way you were structured. So the structure actually is very important for any business owner. How you plan at ab initio, it's key, so that going forward you don't lose out on things that ideally you might be entitled to, or things that might come up for your organization. So financial reporting means like it's kind of like preparing your books of accounting, your balance sheet, your income statement, your cash flow statement, your statement of retained earnings. These are reports, documents that tell people how your business activity is going, how viable it is, or how much trouble it's in, or how good you're doing the business or how bad you're running the business. It tells what you have, and it tells what you're owing. It tells how much you made. It tells what your expenses are. So if I pick, for instance, the balance sheet, I have what you have as assets and what you have as liabilities. What you have as assets are kind of like things that you have that you build for the business to use, assets. Liabilities are things that you owe, people you owe, or companies you owe, or banks you owe, or monies you owe to third parties. Your income statement is like what you make, your sales, your turnover, your contributions. Not contributions, I'm using the wrong term now. whatever your sales are, or the income you make versus the expenses, how much you spend. So if you're making, for instance, 50,000 and you're spending 60,000, right there you have a shortage of 10,000, which we refer to as a loss. If in your first, second, third year you're running at a loss, yes, maybe you're putting things in place. But after a while, you're supposed to stabilize and then start moving from a loss position to a break-even position and then to a profit. So if you continually make a loss, you ask yourself, why am I in business if I'm continually making a loss? If your business is a not-for-profit, then you wouldn't be overly concerned that you're making a loss, because the money that comes in is actually not for any business per se. It's kind of like money that is supposed to go out anyway to other people to help other situations. So if you're not for profit, you wouldn't be overly concerned that you're not running at a profit. But if you're a for profit, the essence of going into business is to make a profit. So you should be concerned after a while. Your cash flow statement is what informs people on what you use funds for per time. So you spend money on assets, you spend money on investment, you spend money on whatever you spend money on during the year. The cash flow statement breaks it down, and that's kind of like a snapshot of things that doesn't a very brief snapshot of things that you used funds for that year. And then your statement of retained earnings is how much year over year you keep for growth. So we're now on, I think I've kind of like brushed over it. Initially, we had 1 hour for the presentation. So my presentation was kind of like short and sharp, but I understand that they've moved the timing, but let's see how it goes with the questions. So with the questions, there are a number I may be able to answer off the grid as we go, and there may be some that you probably need to consult with your tax person, with your accountant, or with your lawyer, depending on what the question is structured around. So if I tell you, oh, I'm sorry, this isn't the question for me, it's a question for this person, please take it under advisement, and kind of like maybe after this, you could ask the CNP team if there are other people that they could structure a seminar for that particular area of interest. I don't know. But let me not preempt the questions. Ms. Deborah.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much. We learned a lot. If anybody has any questions, please type it in the, or raise your hand or type it in the message box, and I'll try to read it out to her. I'll check now if I see any messages. Okay, there are no messages. There are no questions right now, but I know there's a lot of questions with business professionals. They're always asking questions. Okay, there's a question from Mr. Oladapo. I think in layman's language, income is simply the difference between the cost you incurred running and your expenses. How long after incorporating a sole proprietorship should you start operations as you continue your background work? That's a question. How long after incorporating a sole proprietorship should you start operations as you continue your background work?
Well, I think your background work should be the first thing before you actually start business, because if you start running your business and you haven't gotten your background work done, what are you running your business on? Okay. So I think the planning should be in place. The structure should be in place. What you intend to do, at least know what you intend to do and how you intend to go about it before you actually do the incorporation itself.
And I think also business evolves, right? I don't know why over here is echoing back to me. My voice is echoing back. But business also evolves. So like sometimes people start as a sole proprietor, can they later on, maybe in 5 years, the business is big now, can they continue to, can they advance
Incorporate?
to a limited liability company?
Definitely, they can.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Anybody has questions? Please type it in the comments, or somebody. Ogena. Sorry, I'm so sorry, guys, if I pronounce your name wrong. But please go ahead, Ogena. Unmute yourself and go ahead, please. Ogena, are you there? My hand is up.
I think Olagoke says his hand
Can
is
you
up.
hear me?
Yeah, Ogena, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so I've done my background work, but I just came into Canada. I'm just a new immigrant. So I wanted to create she mentioned that a sole proprietorship, that if you want to, register, it can just go online and do that. But me, I haven't filed for tax yet, and they were asking me for something concerning tax and all of that. So I don't know. Is there another one that they do for immigrants that have not filed for tax, or will I have to wait till next year after filing tax before I can register?
Okay, so I'm not sure where you went to do the incorporation, as in what site or whatever. Ideally, if you want to start a business, once you're a resident, there is no question about tax filing or tax returns.
Really? Okay. Please,
No,
can I have a website that I can go?
Go to ontario.ca.
Okay. Ontario.ca. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Olagoke, please go ahead.
Thank you. I hope you're hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Seyitayo, for that presentation. I just wanted to have a clarification. When you talk about the incorporation, usually I think there may be more than one form of incorporation. Usually in Nigeria, we have companies that you call PLC, and we see have companies that are incorporated that are not PLC. Can you make clarifications on such a thing? Do we have private limited incorporated companies? And what's the difference between the PLC, we say First Bank PLC, most of those companies are PLC. And there are companies that are not PLC, that are incorporated, they are not single proprietor, they are not partnership. Can you make a clarification on such, and how is such applicable in the Canadian environment? Thank you.
Okay, so PLC is actually it's actually an acronym for Public Limited Liabilities. PLC, Public Limited Corporations. I don't think they are private. They don't call them private limited. So they are publicly owned because their shareholders are like a lot, as in they have a lot of shareholders, and I think they're on the stock exchange. So they call them public limited corporations also. Now, limited liabilities or incorporations is just a function of how you register. So you can, for Canada, for instance, you can have incorporated at the end of your name. You can have limited liability. You can have Inc. It depends. Whatever you want to put at the end of your name, it just shows that your organization or your firm is limited by shares. It has shareholders.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So we do have private companies. We have private corporations also in Canada. We have public. So for instance, Itayo has a business that is incorporated, but it's private because it's owned by her and her family or whoever is there. But the minute it becomes public, it means it's owned by the public. That's when the shares are sold outside of the family. So like RBC now, like BMO, they're public liability companies. So private are the ones you register for yourself, but it's owned by you, with your children, your family, or whatever, but you're not selling stuff to anybody.
Thank you for that clarification. Anybody else with any other questions? I have a question. Nobody else has a question. You were talking about
there are some questions. There are some questions on the chat.
In the chat box?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just see that question. Is filing personal tax same as tax return for the sole proprietorship? For sole proprietor?
It's this. When you say personal tax, yes, it's technically it is, but there are two separate filings in the same tax return, if that makes any sense. So for the sole proprietorship, there is a form that you fill as a business person, and then there is a part that you fill as an individual. So if you are working, you earn. I mean, you get your T4s or T5 or whatever, and then you are a sole proprietorship. You are running your business on the side. The two filings, the two incomes, the two different lines of income will be put in your personal tax filing. But if you have a corporation that is like a separate corporation outside of your individual, not a sole proprietorship, you file for that corporation separate, not under your personal tax, and then you file your personal tax as well. I don't know if I've answered that question for one issue.
So it's 2 in 1. Personal tax and sole proprietorship is 2 in 1.
It's 2 in 1. Yes, it's 2 taxes in 1.
Okay. Are there benefits of being a corporate entrepreneur that's working and having your own business on the side? Side also. Apple source easy.
Well, I will say to each his own. I will say there is no good combination. There is no bad combination. It's what you make of it. Some people are good as corporate workers 100% of their life. Some people are good as entrepreneurs 100% of their life, and some people can combine the two. So if you are able to combine the two without having a headache, why not go for it?
Okay. I know people that has like 5 businesses, and during this period of COVID-19, they were able to get a lot of more because they have different businesses. So yes, I think you can have both if you can sort everything out. Why would business register as a sole proprietor considering the liability for sole business registration?
Well, some people are. It's some people say, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." It's what you know that you know. If you know there's liability behind sole proprietorship, you'll move ahead. If you know about the liabilities and you are still not ready to go the route of limited liability or incorporation, there are a number of people that still prefer just handling their business themselves, no incorporation required. With incorporation, you have to have maybe a lawyer for yourself. You probably have an accountant for yourself. I mean, for the corporation, you probably have some other form of professionals that you might need to engage one way or the other. But if you're a sole proprietor, you just do your thing and file your taxes, and that's it. You may not necessarily have to engage any of those professional bodies. So everybody has their reasoning behind going in as a sole proprietor.
Okay. Thank you. Somebody raised their hand. Shola, can you please unmute?
Thank you, everyone. Yes, thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
This is Shola Adewale. So just to kind of shed a bit of light on the form of business, that's the organization. Basically, we have sole proprietorship, we have partnership, then we have the corporation. So basically, corporation is divided into two: the limited liability company, then the private limited liability company, and the public limited corporations. That's the PLC. So the purpose of private limited liability company is just for you to kind of register with your family or possibly friends. You have maximum of 50 shareholders in such corporation, minimum of 2, the maximum of 50. And you have to meet some requirements. But the main disadvantage of that is the fact that you are unable to raise capital on the stock exchange. You can't go public. You have to raise your money internally or possibly get loans to finance your business. Then for public limited companies, that's the PLC, basically you have the opportunity of having countless number of shareholders because your shares are made public on the stock exchange. Now, for tax planning, because this is the key aspect of it, like Madam Funke explained, if there is sole proprietorship or a partnership, you file all your taxes using your T1. That means that you declare your employment income, you declare your business income or trading income. But if you are a limited liability company, you have to file T2, that's corporate tax. And as a corporation, corporations are entities that are separate of the owners. So in this case, as a sole proprietorship, you are liable for everything you are doing. But as a company holder, when you set up a public liability company, in that case, you are not liable for what happens in the company. The company is independent of you. And if you are making profit, you can decide to keep your profit within the business until you pay yourself dividend or management salary. You don't have to pay tax, separate tax, a personal tax. The tax you pay is the corporate tax that the government will tax you on, depending on the profit you make. So some people actually use the companies to plan their taxes. If you feel you are paying too much as a sole proprietorship, you can convert to private limited liability company where you can decide to be keeping your excess profit in retained earnings. And when you retire and you are no longer making employment income, you can decide to start withdrawing from your company and pay yourself dividend, and you'll be taxed at a lower tax rate. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shola. That was very explanatory. Thank you so much for that wealth of information. And if anybody has any subject matter experts in the house, please, if you have something that you want to say to the group, or you want to help us volunteer with us, please send us an email, because we just want to make sure that everybody within our community has as much information. Knowledge is power. We want everybody to have the knowledge, because a lot of people have business agents, and a lot of people come to me, they don't know what business should be. I do everything just look a little bit complicated, but I know for accountants, you guys, it's very easy for you to navigate all of those things. I'll move to the next question. Is a limited liability, is insurance compulsory? As a limited liability, is insurance compulsory?
Well, I would say, irrespective of whether it's limited or unlimited, you can't overemphasize the essence of insurance. The place of insurance in any business, or even as an individual, is you suffer loss, you have something to fall back on. So whether as a limited liability or as a sole proprietor, it pays you to do insurance. No one will enforce insurance on you, except maybe you're a professional body like lawyers, doctors, or accountants. You have to have insurance. But outside of that, it pays you. Then sometimes your bank could also insist, if they're giving you a facility, that you have to take on some form of insurance. So it depends on how you're structured again, and then it depends on who else you're working with. If you're working in partnership with somebody, or you're supplying a company some stuff, the company might insist that you do have insurance. So as a rule, professional companies, yes, they must have insurance. Personal preference, I would recommend, yes, have insurance. But then there are a number of other professions or businesses that don't necessarily have to have insurance. If you're in the food industry, yes, you have to have insurance. If maybe you're a contractor to third parties, yes, you have to have insurance. And this is especially for Canada anyway. Maybe back home, not necessary, but for other, for Canada especially, a lot of the time, I think it is essential you do have insurance.
Okay. Insurance is always good as a general rule, I think. So thank you so much for that explanation. With regards to COVID-19, can you please explain why some businesses did not qualify for government grants? As a business owner, it's important to contribute to CPP and EI. What are the benefits?
Okay. The type of grants the government came up with at the very beginning was to assist with payroll. Most of the businesses people come up with, I'll say the thoughts are we're saving money by not doing payroll, running payroll, maybe paying as contractors or consultants rather than running a proper payroll. Sometimes we don't even pay ourselves as owners of the business. So with the first grant that the government gave, they used payroll as a criteria for accessing the grant or the loan. So if you were not running payroll for the prior year, that is 2019, or your payroll was not up to $20,000 for that year, you were automatically disqualified. So over time, they came up with the SERV where, what's it called now? Individuals could actually access, but that obviously will not help any business owner. Then they've come up with the CRB, still for individuals and self-employed, but it still doesn't help with running of the business per se. It's just self-sustenance. I think they also gave up, they tried to come up with another grant for businesses that did not have payroll. But if you don't have payroll, you had to have reoccurring payments. That is your rent, your lease, your maybe car payments and all that. If your business is not functioned or is not structured in the way that you are paying month-on-month rent, or you are paying card notes, or you are paying for particular services month to month, you won't be able to access that as well. So your business structure actually is very key towards how these loans or grants are tailored to suit your business. The question is, as a business owner, is it important to contribute to CPP or EI? What are the benefits? Well, I have a very different perspective to CPP and EI, and I know that a whole lot of people gravitate towards let's pay CPP, let's pay EI, so that at the end of 60 years or at the end of my retirement, I have something to fall back on, or EI, if there's anything that goes wrong, if anything goes wrong, I'm able to fall back on employment insurance. Maybe I will leave the pro to somebody else to illuminate on. I'll go for the con. That is why I don't subscribe to a business owner paying CPP or EI. I know this may go against what Ms. Satiba would expect, but I want to come up with my own radical perspective, because everybody has a right to their own opinions, and I'm not advising as your accountant, I'm not advising as your tax person. I'm just giving you my perspective as an individual. I'm sure we have subject matter experts in the house who may come up with contrary views, but this is my perspective. At the end of retirement, CPP comes to X amount. Let's say, for instance, you are paid 1,015, depending on how much you've contributed into the pool over time. I guess the maximum you probably can get will probably be in the range of that 1,500. 1,500 for anybody. Mortgage, feeding, bills, I'm not sure how sufficient that is. EI, I don't know how many people have gone on maternity before, or you've had to go on EI during this COVID, how much you've been able to tap from it, and how sufficient it was for anybody's personal expenses or whatever. So sometimes when my clients ask me, there is a maximum contribution for any year. Once you get to that maximum, don't exceed it. Do the bare minimum and then invest whatever else you have that is left. Putting all your money in CPP or in EI, for me, there is no amount of investment in those pools that will actually gravitate towards helping your expenses when you get to the retirement stage. So yes, at this point, maybe to access grants and whatever, paying payroll, if you're a business owner, there is some advantage to it. But in the long run, what are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? Which outweighs which? Those are things you need to sit down with a tax planner and an investment strategist and actually come up with a plan that works for you.
Thank you so much about that. Mr. But you have something to say? I know no one had fits all, right? That's what they say.
Yeah.
I'm a very big champion to have an accountant, especially if you have a business. Have an accountant that is knowledgeable about your area of expertise. Make sure they look at your books and they are able to advise you on the best advice. They are able to advise you based on your own scenario, right? Some people, it might be good for them to actually maximize on their EI, and some people it's not. But you just have to talk to your accountants about that. So that is what I can say. Mr. Asiba, do you have something to say?
Thank you very much. I'm just going to add to what Mr. Itaya said. Again, to reach a point, it's not a recommendation to everybody. But when it comes to businesses, CPP-EI, from my perspective, it's forced saving. Most people don't save, period.
Can you even talk about CCP and what it is, first of all? Because some people may not even understand that.
Thank you. CCP is Canada Pension Plan. And EI is employment. So I've been opportunity to actually benefit from EI because I had a baby in Canada about 30 years ago. So I'm happy that I was able to get some form of income for 1 whole year. Wow. They've actually increased it to 18 months now. But talking about business owners, I see it as possible. In CPP, there's a limit that you can pay. I'm not telling you what.
Sorry, Auntie, the voice is echoing. I'm not sure if you have 2 different systems on, or can everybody else that is not talking, can I ask you to please mute yourselves?
Yeah, because I only have one system now. Okay, so as I was saying, CPP to me, I think it's more of a forced savings. If you're working for an employer, your employer will pay 50% and you pay 50%. That's the way CPP is paid. And if you're working for yourself, the government expects you to pay the 100%. And this money, there's something they call YMP, yearly employment pensionable earning. It's about 50-something thousand. That's what they focus on. So if you earn 120,000, they're not going to take CPP of 120,000 from you. They will only take up to the maximum of yearly employment pensionable earning from you to save for you, so that when you do retire, you have something. We come from a country where we don't have all those kind of things. I know that since I left Nigeria, I think some banks are beginning to put some pensions to help the employees now, but we never had it. So coming here, they help you to plan. I mean, I've been in banking world for like 32 years. I'm meeting people in here that have been working for 32 and they're retiring. I can't retire. If I started working in Canada for the past 32, I would have retired by now. Because not only will I have CPP waiting for me to take, I will also have my employee pension plan. Because that is the system here. They help you plan your life. So you don't need to do it yourself. People like me, knowing what I know, I do more on top of it because I know CPP is not going to be enough for me. I know the pension they're getting for me is not going to be enough for me because I came here as an adult. So really, I really think, this event is not for us to advise anybody here on business. I would say speak to your accountant, let them look at your personal situation, and they will use it to advise you to say, is it a good thing for you to do CPP? Is it a good thing for you to have EI? If you know you're young and you're going to have babies, you got to have EI. That is so important. You have to have EI. But if you're a business owner and you know that you're not going to have any babies, talk to your accountant. Let them tell you, let them look at your own personal situation, and they'll be able to advise you, okay, this is good for you. It's just the same thing like RRSP. People will talk about RRSP not being good. If you ask me, I will tell you it's good. So it's different, situation for different people. That's just what I want to add. Thank you so much, Ms. Ojo.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Shola, you wanted to add something? You can unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. To further buttress what my able madam just said now. I'm sorry, I don't know the name, so I'm very sorry for that. Basically, CPP is compulsory. Either you are self-employed or you an employee. You have to have CPP. But as a self-employed, you might decide. I think it's echoing because Madam Funke Yitayo she has unmuted her. Yeah, great, thank you. So as a self-employed, you might decide to have EI or not. You have choice of either having EI or not, but CPP is compulsory, and CPP is for your retirement. Basically, you can start assessing it when you are above 60, but that is if you want to assess it early. But if you want to assess it late, you can start at 65. And to go back to Nigeria, yeah, some of us that started our careers like less than 15 years ago, I think around 2009 or 2010, they started a pension plan in Nigeria as well. So anybody who is working in the corporation in Nigeria will have to contribute to the pension plan. It's similar to what is done in Canada. So we have that. Some of us that left Nigeria along the line, we still have our money there. So you can access part of it if you don't work for a while. So basically, it's important to actually have that. And like she also said, yeah, whatever we do today, we still have to plan for our future. Businesses can fail. You can stop working all of a sudden. You still have to have plans of possibly having access to other support. So having pension plan that is compulsory, having RSP, which is tax deductible right now, is a way of tax planning as well, is key. I'm not an accountant that works in a public company, but I work in a private company and I'm very conversant with this. So it's actually good that you have something that you can, save for the raining days, because you can never tell. And that is my contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we have about 3 more minutes before we get to the next speaker. I'm looking at a question. I don't in the chat box. I don't see any other question. Can you be okay? Somebody, one is C. Can you be on your business payroll while being fully employed? I guess this will go. Maybe you can answer it in terms of a sole proprietor or a corporation. Madam Eitayo.
I'm sorry, Deborah. I was distracted. Can you come again with your question? I apologize.
Okay. The question was, can you be on your own payroll as a business owner?
And be fully employed. Okay, I saw the question. Can you be on your business payroll while being fully employed? Yeah. Yes, you can.
So as a sole proprietor or as a business owner, in both cases you can?
You can do your payroll. The only thing is be prepared for the tax implication. Do you understand? Okay. Because if you are earning an income, obviously you are making some money and you are paying taxes on that. Then on your business side as well, you are putting yourself on the payroll. Definitely you have to pay taxes on it and all that. So both incomes are definitely going to be susceptible to taxes. You can pay yourself on the payroll, no big deal.
Okay. I have about 1 minute to spare for Mr. Shawat. I think he has something to say. Go ahead.
Sorry, I forgot to lower my hand the other time. Sorry, I didn't have anything.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So thank you, everyone. I hope this was fun for me as well, more than anybody else, because I'm a business owner, and I really think a lot of people need to speak to their accountants about tax planning. Like Mrs. Eitayo said, you want to minimize your tax or maximize your money in your pocket. So we don't want to pay too much more than what we need to pay. So tax planning is important. Having the right structure is definitely important, because when grants comes, when you go to RBC or TD, or you want to speak to a mortgage consultant about your business loans, about getting a mortgage for your business, you need to have the right structure. And I think this is very important. There's a lot of people that come to me, they're making $30,000, $40,000 from their side hustle, but they refuse to register the business. So registering the business is for sure the very first step. Once you have a business, I think that's some question that we should be asking her. Once you have a business, I think about $30,000, you have to register. You should register your business, because there's a lot of opportunities for you to maximize, to expand your businesses. Sometimes, in some cases, when you close from work, from your 9 to 5, that's when you go to your real job. Sometimes some people have hobby of doing hair, some people have hobby of salon, different things. But we need to have the best structure in order to grow and expand. So I hope this information tonight has been able to break some eyes on some of the things that maybe was on our mind, or maybe some things that we haven't thought about. I'll hand over to Ms. Atiba now.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ojo. Thank you, Ms. Eitayo. We really, really appreciate all this information. Very, very insightful. And I just want to say that this is actually the beginning of the tax planning, because, talking about the fact that you're working for an employer and you have a business, and you're earning money and you're on payroll. Being on payroll, it means that your income is increasing, which is amazing. It's good to earn a lot of income. But then you need to think about tax planning.